are these people? What do they have in common? What secrets does UBC hold? This is Gemma Dashkowitz.
I am in the business of true crime tours.
Why are you interested in that?
Well, I'm such a freak. Ever since I was a kid, I was always obsessed with hearing about murders and stuff. So after I dropped out of high school, I just decided to really capitalize on that, and business was really booming in Florida. So after I did that for a few years, I came over to BC, where there's a lot of good stories that people don't know about.
How come do you leave Florida?
It was just too hot for me, and there were too many people there, so...
After getting too close to her subjects and losing multiple lawsuits to the victims' families, she fled north.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for coming to the first ever in-person UBC crime tour. My name is Gemma Dashkowitz, and I will be your tour guide today. But before we start, I want to ask, does anyone here know what UBC stands for? Wrong! It stands for Ugly Bloody Crime, and today I will be showing you and telling you about two of those crimes. One, the most tragic, and two, the most notorious. It's hard walking around campus and thinking, what has gone on here that I don't know about? How many stories lie behind these walls? Today I will tell you, and you will look at your campus from a new, impassioned perspective. Are we ready?
Our first place that we're going is going to be this area where this child got pushed.
Okay, so welcome everyone to the Douglas T. Kenny Building, otherwise known as the UBC Psychology Building. This building was opened in 1984 on May 9th and was named after Dr. Douglas Kenny, who was the head of the psychology department at the time and then went on to become the Dean of the Arts. Now, what we don't know about this building, although it looks very old and ominous, is that a couple weeks after it opened, a very tragic thing happened here. And just to give you a backstory, at UBC, if you are a psychology student like I once was many years ago, you will notice that there is a very thriving child and infant development studies center happening on the very base floor, so one floor below us. If you are in here studying at any point, you might see many young families come in, children eyes wide, mumbling, stomping about, and they go in to get studies done on them. Now, that's supposed to be a joke. Something happened with this little boy who was named Joshua Temple. Remember that name. So Joshua Temple came in here, he was 6 years old, and his mother had an appointment with her 3-year-old son, his 3-year-old little sister, in this building. So she walked in, and poor single mother, she didn't have, a lot to help her looking after these two kids, and she went in and took the 3-year-old sister into the building, and when she was in the building, she realized that Joshua was gone. In a panic, she started freaking out, looking through all of the buildings or all the rooms in the building, and she couldn't find Joshua. And everyone started looking around, and right when everyone was getting as panicked as possible, they heard a scream. Somebody had pushed little Joshua Temple off of this ledge right here. He didn't fall, and the reason that we know he was pushed is because there was a mysterious woman who was seen running away. But I just want everyone to come over here, right in this area, and stare down and just imagine a little 6-year-old skull that was crushed underneath. Has anyone ever seen a skull get crushed? Looks a lot like a watermelon. Let's go down and take a closer look at exactly where his poor lifeless body once laid. This is where, legitimately, 6-year-old boy fell, and his poor lifeless body lay here. One of these trees, I think it's that one, far one, is actually in memorial to him. And so it's that one right there with the ribbon hanging off of it. That's the Joshua Temple Memorial Tree. And you know what? Personally, I always knew that wasn't enough to pay respects. Better, let's have a walking tour that talks about these things and keeps the memory alive. So I just want all of you here to know today that by participating and contributing to an exercise that really takes into account what's happened here, you are showing respect to these poor, poor victims. Are you ready for the next crime?
You know who sold more than John Benet Ramsey and Manon McCann put together? O.J. Simpson.
How's everyone feeling?
So basically, the next place that we're going to be going after this child death is this residence building where this crazy murder happened. It's irresistible. You have everything there. You have sex, you have violence, probably drugs, and slutty Halloween costumes. It's sensational, and I know everyone's going to love it.
The group seemed excited, aroused, confused, and hungry for knowledge.
We don't have time today because we're on a walking tour, and I think that's a better way to pay respect to people. But if you want to go back in your own time, you can read the little plaque that's been made for Joshua Temple.
They started making their way to the Vanier residence grounds, the site of the second murder.
What most don't know, though, regardless of all of the drunken frat nights and broken hearts that have happened in these walls, something even more violent once did happen. A brutal, scorned lover murder happened between Miss Nicole Michaels and Mr. Andrew Wong. Okay, so backstory here. Nicole Michaels was 21 years old, from the States. She was at the time a third-year art history major, and she was dating Andrew Wong, who was 20 years old and a third-year econ major, as well as the RA of this area. What happens was...
So at this point, people are just putty in my hands. I can see it on their faces that they're just really being moved. And ultimately, I want to touch them here and also here.
There's a Halloween party, and Nicole Michaels at one point sees her boyfriend Andrew Wong disappear into a room with another girl. And I don't know if it was the alcohol or if it was just the pure lust, carnal, primal, teenage love, 21-year-old love that they had, but she snapped. She went to her friend's dorm. She started crying. She said, I need to talk to you. She brought him into her room, which is right here. She stabbed him 18 times with a very dull knife. So you can just imagine. Do you know what it's like to stab somebody with a dull knife? No, it's messy. A quick knife, like a sharp knife, it cuts really easy, but a dull knife, it like bruises more. It's like trying to cut like an orange with a butter knife. So anyway, what happens is eventually, she did get caught. Obviously, there was very little to be done. She got deported back to the States, where she's now in LA Metropolitan Detention Center. I tried to speak with her actually, but they told me that journalists can't get it anymore, especially journalists with BBC ties. So we're still working on that. Journalist. Yeah, journalist, like me. I'm a journalist. Okay, so that wraps up our very first UBC Ugly Bloody Crimes tour, and now you've heard the stories of one, the most tragic murder to happen here at UBC, and two, the most notorious. And as we sit here and ponder, I hope all of you go to my Instagram account, link in bio for the merchandise that I will be selling if you're interested in more crazy, murderous women, and perhaps understanding why it is women that mostly do murder here at UBC. Thank you. Yes, clap. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
I think Gemma is a great tour guide. I wouldn't have the same experience I did if it weren't for her. She's great at her job. She's clearly knowledgeable and reputable.
Honestly, I'm really shocked. I never expected. UBC is such a respected community.
I think we fancy ourselves as kind of detectives.
We're a bit of a detective duo, brother-sister thing.
Like, I wouldn't have come to UBC if I had known that this happens here. I'm scared for my life right now. Like
I really like Jack the Ripper. Nothing compares to Jack the Ripper here, but,
Yeah, I really like Jack, we call him.
The tour was so informational. I'm definitely buying the book.
I sleep with an axe.
Okay, so,
I can't believe this happened. I'm so sorry for that poor guy. His head got squashed like a watermelon. I can't do this anymore, sorry.
Are you sure? But come back.
I really like crime and committing.
Oh, we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna come back and talk about maybe the feelings that you have towards these cases.
Feelings.
Yeah.
Okay.
crime is just really important to me because I think the more that we, I'm sorry, I'm just too moved right now. For me, like, sharing these stories is the best way to move towards harmony.
Immediately after this tour, authorities learned that Miss Dauschkowitz was a con artist. No book deal was found. We followed up with one of our tour attendants, who seemed most pressed about the facts shared today.
So, are you a fan of crime tourism?
I wouldn't say I'm a fan as much as I am a neutral observer. Like anything, it's a tour I'll go on.
Did you know anything about these cases before?
I knew about them before I came here, so I think I've heard of them. I mean, yeah, I knew a little bit about them, just a little bit. I think that crime tours are despicable and in bad taste, and they should never be done. I think they're just pretty disgusting, if I'm being honest.
Have you ever been to a crime tour before?
Yes. I've done all the Jack the Ripper tours in London. Those are so fun. Did a couple in New Orleans. All the tours that you can do in Vancouver, Haunted Vancouver, and a couple here or there around the world. Some off-the-book ones, if you know what I mean. But in my defense, like I said, it's more of a study thing. I'm an objective viewer of these. I don't love the crimes. I don't think I love murder. Nobody is accusing me of that. I just like studying it. Yeah. I gotta take this, guys. Sorry. Okay, Mom, listen. I can't really talk right now because I'm at that interview thing that I told you about. And that hack from Florida, Gemma, yeah, she's here. I don't know what she's doing here. I don't know how they let her have her own company. I know. Now listen. You gotta pack a bag and you gotta go because they know things, okay? Yeah, they know about Joshua. We went right to the place where it happened. They don't know it was you, all right? They don't have a lot, but they do have something. I gotta go or they'll get suspicious.